Today I was thinking we would work our way into half moon, maybe a revolved half moon. We haven't done that for a while. And we'll start off breathing as usual, a little bit of core work, some variations on Dolphin. If you have a block, that would be useful, also a strap. Because what we're going to do, we're going to do Dolphin with a strap around the arm. Sometimes the elbows slip out a little bit in Dolphin, and the strap around the upper arms above the elbows could help if that's the case for you. Let's work on the breath, sitting comfortably, closing the eyes, relaxing the shoulders, broaden across the collarbone, head is slightly back, keeping the neck nicely lined up with the rest of the spine. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose, long slow breaths, slow deep breaths. Each inhale, trying to pull in a little bit more air, filling the lungs a little bit more. Exhale, trying to make that exhale just as long as the inhale. And then regular breathing. So just send me a brief message if there's any microphone issues. Hopefully it's fine. So there's usually about 3 or 4 breathing techniques that I use with you guys. There's this deep breathing we just do. There's one like that but with a bit of a retention. Alternate nostril breathing, Ujjayi breathing, Kalabhati breathing, fire breath. But there's some others that are fun, especially for kids. And one is bunny breath, where we do some sniffing. And then we breathe out, so you're sniffing in through the nose. So let's try bunny breath. Whenever you're ready. So you're breathing in and out through the nose, but as you breathe in, it's little short inhales through the nose. Whenever you're ready. They're like little sniffs through the nose and one long exhale through the nose. And then regular breathing. Always a fun kind of thing to do with kids or grandkids. Another one that they really love is lion breath. You breathe in through the nose and you breathe out through the mouth. You stick your tongue out and you're making a roaring sound. Inhale. Inhale. One more. Inhale. And then regular breathing. Kids always love that one. Another one is nice, and this is really good for you. There's a Dr. Singh that's done a couple of talks for Homestead that I've listened to, and he says humming is really good for you. So this is Bumblebee Breath. This is bee breath. So basically, you inhale and you just breathing out through the mouth, but the lips are almost closed. So you're making that vibration with the lips. Whenever you're ready, inhale. So you can feel the lips vibrating, and you can change the tone just like a bee does, and you can go up and down in different tones. Try that. Inhale. can move your head, because the bees are always moving, right? Another time, one more. Inhale. And then regular breathing. I actually really like that one because you can really slow down the exhale and make it a lot longer exhale, and you get that funny little tingly vibration on the lips, which is nice. Working on the shoulders. Bring one shoulder forward, up, back and down, so just rotating one shoulder, just trying to loosen up there. And then work on the other side. Both together, up and down. You can tell it's foggy outside today. It's more like the typical fall weather, when we have fog in the morning, then the sun comes through, so it should be a nice day. Sit up tall, bring the right ear to the right shoulder, just letting the weight of the head stretch the neck out. So I was doing these yesterday and I was holding this for quite some time, and I was starting to bring the head forward and just finding those extra tight spots, bring it a little bit more forward and then taking it more backward. And then back to over to the side still, but more centered over the shoulder, and more forward again. Really finding those tight areas in the neck, trying to get them stretched out. And then we bring the head back up to neutral, up to center, and then over to the other side. And we've still got the head over to the side, but we're starting to bring the head a little bit more forward. And then you can take it backward. And then forward again. A little bit more forward. Find those tight areas. And just give that area a little bit more attention. And then we bring the head up. And we bring the chin to the chest, stretching out the back of the neck. We bring the head up, we take the head back, stretching out the throat. And then neutral. We turn the head over to one side, looking behind you as much as you can. And then over to the other side. So we'll go on to our backs and we'll do just windshield wipers with the feet down and then the legs up. So let's do a few of those, and then we're going to progress to Dolphin. So you're on your back, feet are wider than hips, feet on the ground, knees are up towards the ceiling. Keep the feet on the ground, and you're just taking the legs over from side to side. And we're just trying to get a little bit more mobility in the back. Trying to warm up the back. And it's also working the obliques a little bit, so we're getting a little bit of strengthening in the core here. You want to try and move with the breath. As you inhale, bring the knees up, and as you exhale, take the knees down. Couple more each side. And I'm going to bring the legs up to the ceiling. So you're trying to get 90 degrees between the legs and the torso. You're trying to keep that 90 degrees at all time, even when you're taking the legs over from side to side. Arms out about 45 degrees. You take the legs over to one side, about halfway down, and then over to the other side. And you're really pushing into the ground with the hands and the arms so that you go down nice and slow. And the arms help you bring the legs back up. So we're taking the legs down far enough, you guys know this, far enough so it's a little bit of a challenge, but not too far, so it's not too difficult. But as you get into a rhythm, you can probably start taking the legs a little bit lower. You're breathing, you're not holding the breath. And then we bring the legs back to neutral, feet down. We pull both knees in really close and we just rock from side to side, just giving the back a little bit of a massage. So just rocking, and then bring the hands on the knees and just circle the hands and the knees, circling in one direction. And then circle in the other direction. We take hold of the back of the legs, we lift the head up and we rock ourselves up. We come onto our hands and knees and we're in cat-cow. Inhale, belly down, head up. Exhale, round in the back and tucking the chin. Inhaling into cow, exhaling into calves. And then we're going to do a variation of dolphin. So this is, we're going to keep the knees on the mat. And we bring the forearms down to the ground. You get in the forearms parallel, palms are on the ground. Some people like to bring the palms together. I do that quite often. And then we're trying to get more of a straight line. So I'm bringing the forearms forward, so I'm trying to straighten that line out. It's a little bit like puppy dog, except the forearms are on the ground, the elbows are bent on this one. So that's a nice variation. It's a little bit easier if you have any difficulty bringing the knees off the ground. Now what happens quite a lot in Dolphin is the elbows slide out. And if that happens with you, having a strap is useful. So I'm just going to use a strap. If you don't have a strap, no worries, you don't have to use the strap. But what I'm going to do, you get the strap buckled nice and tight, and you bring it above the elbows, so it's like that, maybe a little bit tighter, so that the elbows can't go wider than the shoulders. And then you bring the forearms to the ground. Now this time we're going to do the full dolphin, but with the strap. And I'm going to tuck the toes and bring those hips up and bring those shoulders back. And you can push those arms into the strap. Sometimes the strap's in the way of the forehead, which is fine. Now notice my knees are bent, and I usually start off with the knees bent so I can get the back more neutral. But then, and you can walk the feet in a bit closer if you want, if you can keep the back neutral, you start to straighten the legs and you bring the heels a little bit lower. Keep pushing the arms into that strap and you're breathing. As I say, if you don't have the strap, no worries, just try and keep the elbows in line with the shoulders, no wider than the shoulders. You can also use the strap when you're in downward facing dog. So So we could try that. Let's see if that works. Not as effective. Maybe the strap needs to be a bit tighter in down dog. But sometimes that helps. In downward facing dog, well, in any pose really, but especially in down dog, if you straighten the arms and you're a hyperextender, i.e. the inside of the elbows popping out a little bit, just do a little micro bend to the elbows. Same with the legs. If you straighten the legs and you hyperextend, little micro bend just to protect those joints. Full downward facing dog. Take the feet wider so the little toes are right to the edge of the mat. Push the thumb, index finger into the ground, and then the other fingers pulling the armpits down. You're looking between the legs. Knees are bent if you need to get the back neutral, but then if you can keep the back neutral, just like the dolphin, we're bringing the heels lower and we're straightening the legs a little bit more. Trying not to hyperextend the elbows or the knees. You're breathing. If you ever look at Light on Yoga, in there, there's a picture of down dog and the forehead, I think, is almost touching the ground. That's a challenge. You've got to really work the arms there, but make sure there's not too much pressure on the shoulders. I usually keep the head a little bit further off the ground just to relieve any pressure off the shoulders. Come into plank pose, getting the heels directly over the toes, looking between the hands, try not to sink between the shoulder blades, engage that core, back is nice and neutral. You don't want to lower the hips like this, you don't want to bring the hips up too easy, hips down puts pressure on the back, so we're trying to find that nice neutral spine to get the benefit of the pose. We bring the right hand to center, we stack the feet, you bring the other arm up. Good way to strengthen the core, plank poses. Some people like to bring the top foot down or the bottom knee down, makes it a little bit easier. If there's pressure on the wrist, you can come onto the forearm. If you want more challenge, you can bring the top leg up. Some people even like to hold onto the big toe of that top foot. Let's see if this works for me today. And you bring that leg up towards the ceiling. We switch to the other side through plank and then side plank. Take whichever variation is good for you. Maybe bring the leg up, maybe hold on to that big toe. And don't forget to keep breathing. And then we come back into plank. And we bring the knees down and we come into child's pose and just hang out in child's pose. So child's pose, you should just be getting a gentle stretch in the back. I think this is really good. Child's pose is a really good pose for the back. Head should be supported. So the forehead should be on the ground or on the hands or even on the block. You're breathing. Let's work on the feet a little bit. So we're sitting on the heels, but the toes are tucked. And we bring the hands either side of the knees and we're just going to rock backwards and forwards a little bit. Trying to open up the toes, and you're going to start feeling this in the back of the ankles, the Achilles, as you bring the heels a little bit closer to the ground. So we can still rock a little bit, but we're coming lower to the ground with the heels. And then maybe you can come all the way down, reaching the arms forward, and I'm trying to get the knees almost into the armpits, or you can bring them between the legs. You're reaching forward with the hands, so you've got that weight forward, so you don't start coming down onto your sit bones yet, and you're breathing. Back is rounded, so gentle stretch in the back. If it bothers the back, come out of the pose, come higher up. You could just do this to relieve any pressure on the back. So if your back is in good shape, this should be fine. Take the knees wider apart, so the arms are between the legs, and start reaching forward even more, but start to bring the sit bones down, and as soon as they touch the ground, lean back and then see if you've got that momentum to come back up. Down and up. A lot of core strength. Down to the sit bones and back up. Slide the hands forward, back onto your hands and knees. Downward facing dog. This time the feet are closer to each other. We start walking the dog. You're bending one knee as you straighten the opposite leg. Stretching out the calf muscles. Hold one leg straight, one knee bent, and breathe. And then switch. We look forward, walking forward between the hands. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale as you fold forward, relaxing the head. Bend the knees. Inhale into chair. Exhale into mountain. Half salute. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale as you fold forward and down. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, we fold forward again. Inhale, breath, core brings us up. Really engage that core as you come up. Keep that back nice and safe. Inhale, reaching up, look up, bit of a back bend. Exhale, folding forward and down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, we fold forward again. Inhale, we come all the way up. Exhale, into mountain. One more. Inhale, reach up, look up, bit of a back bend. Exhale, folding forward and down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, we fold forward. Inhale, we come all the way up. This time we keep the fingers interlaced. You're pointing the index finger towards the ceiling. You're reaching towards the ceiling and lean over to one side. Getting a bit of a side stretch. Feeling in the side ribs and the hip. You're keeping the whole body in one plane. It's almost like you're in between two panes of glass. So one shoulder is no more forward than the other. And you can start going a little deeper with the breath. Inhale, we come up. We reach up. We're trying to get length in the spine before we go over to the side stretch. Another thing, some people like to cross the legs when they do this, which might give you a little bit more of a stretch in the IT band. Interlace the fingers again. Interlace them the other way. Normally it's just one way. Interlace them the other way, but behind the back. Pull the shoulders down, shoulder blades in. Rest the belly on the top of the thighs with the knees bent. Relax the head totally. Try and soften the shoulders as you gradually bring the arms up towards the ceiling. Breathe. Be kind to the shoulders. Every so often, just let them soften, back off the stretch, and then gradually go a little deeper. And then we slowly come up. We bring the arms up to the sky, up to the ceiling, and then back into mountain. Shake things out. Lean over to one side, get that arm nice and floppy. Over to the other side. the legs, stand on one leg, shake out the feet and the leg. Really try and relax all those muscles. And then the other side. Okay, come to the front of the mat. Inhale into chair. Exhale as we fold forward and down. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, we plant the hands. We walk into plank. We bring the knees down, elbows in, chin, chest forward and down. Inhaling into cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up to the ceiling. Extended down dog. And then we're just going to stack those hips. Trying to get the right hip stacked over the left hip, bending that top knee, getting a nice hip opener. And breathe. We switch legs. Other legs come up, other leg up. We stack the hip, bending that top knee, keeping both hands solidly on the ground when you do this one. You're trying to get one hip really open and stacked over the other hip. You're trying to get the hips facing the side of the room on this one. We switch legs again, extended down dog. And then we'll do star pose. We've been doing this quite often recently, where you shoot the leg over to the side. So both legs are straight, the toes of one foot are lined up with the fingers of the hand, and you open up. If this is tough, you could do a side plank. Instead of star pose, you just bring the knees down to the ground. And you bring the hand down. And you do 2 or 3 push-ups. 1, 2, 3. We extend the other leg up. We stack the hips a little bit. And then we come into star pose. Opening up. Both legs are straight. Keep those hips high. Breathe. We bring the top hand down, keeping the legs where they are. And you're going to see if you can do a couple of push-ups. 1, 2, 3. We extend the leg. Top foot joins the bottom foot. And we come into child's pose again. Sit on the heels. Bring the hands behind you. Fingers lined up with the toes. Chin tucked. Open the chest. Head goes back carefully. You breathe. If you want, you can bring the hips up. Head is totally relaxed. You're pulling the shoulders together. So it's almost like you're making a little shelf for the head with the crunched up shoulders. You're opening that chest, you're strengthening the arms. We bring the sit bones down, we slide the hands forward, we tuck the toes, we're back in downward facing dog. We look forward, walk forward between the hands, inhale halfway up, exhale as you fold forward, knees bent, we're back in chair. And then we come all the way up. Inhale into chair. Exhale, folding forward and down. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, we plant the hands. We're in plank. Chaturanga or knees chest to ground. If you have any shoulder issues, don't do chaturanga. Just bring the knees down, chin chest forward and down, and then into easy cobra. And then back into down dog. So if you have any shoulder issues, chaturanga is probably not a good idea. We inhale the right leg up and we sweep that foot through and we come into warrior 1 and we exhale into warrior 2 and we're going to hold warrior 2 for a little bit. We're going to go a little bit wider with the feet, a little bit lower. we're looking over that extended arm, over that bent knee, and then we look to the side of the room, and you're going to bring that left arm under the right arm. We're going to add eagle arms. Take a breath or two here at least. We come back into warrior two, reverse warrior, and then into plank. Chaturanga, inhaling into up dog, exhale down dog. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, we sweep that foot through. We're in warrior one on the other side. Then you're going to exhale into warrior two, hold warrior two. Maybe taking the feet a little bit wider, going a little bit deeper if you can. We look to the side of the room and we bring the right arm under the left arm, eagle arms, and we take a few breaths. Back into warrior two, reverse warrior, and then into plank. Chaturanga, release chin, chest to ground, cobra or up dog, downward facing dog. Hold down dog, maybe 4 or 5 breaths. If you want, you can do child's pose, or you could do that vinyasa plank, chaturanga, up dog, down dog. We all come into down dog. We look forward, walk forward between the hands. Inhale halfway up. Exhale as you fold forward, knees bent. We're back in chair, and then we come all the way up. So we're going to progress our way to Trikonasana. Maybe Revolved Trikonasana. Have a block handy. Inhale into chair. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, we plant the hands. We walk into plank. Chaturanga, elbows in. Inhaling into up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, we sweep that foot through. Spread the toes. Warrior one. Exhale into warrior two. So I'm going to have a block handy. If you want to use a block, you can. And then we'll do a reverse warrior. And then we'll come back into warrior two. We'll straighten that front leg, so both legs are straight. You've got that joint at the top of the femur. You reach as much as you can. Reach. And then you bring that hand down and you bring the other arm up. You don't have to go all the way down, and you can use a block. You can bring your hands onto the block. So you can see my top ribs are rounded slightly. I want to bring that, stop rounding them. So I'm bringing that top hip slightly forward. I'm keeping the top arm nicely lined up with the back, so I'm not stressing the shoulders. I'd rather you be higher with a nice form than trying to struggle and go down like this with the head dropped. Don't drop the head. So think of form as opposed to intensity. That makes sense. And maybe you can look up. If the head aches, you start to look down. We come back up, bending the knee, we come back up into warrior two. And then I'm just thinking whether we'll go straight into the revolved. Yeah, let's go straight into the revolved version. So what we're going to do this time is we do a reverse warrior, and then you sweep that back hand, and as I sweep the hand, I'm going to just hop that back foot in slightly, then I'm straightening the legs, and I'm going to bring the block on the outside of the foot, or you can bring the fingertips to the ground, and then you open up. You're trying to squeeze the legs together, Again, that top arm nicely lined up with the back into Revolved Trikonasana. Breathe. Challenging pose. We unwind. We get ourselves back into Warrior 2, Reverse Warrior, and then we're going to flow to the other side. Plank, Chaturanga, inhaling to Up Dog, exhale Down Dog. Take Down Dog a few breaths. This is almost a resting pose. We bring the left leg up. We sweep that foot through. We're in Warrior 1 on the other side. Hold Warrior 1. I'm going to switch, but you can just hang out there. Exhale into Warrior 2. Trying to keep your balance. Shoulders nice and soft, but lines of energy through the arms. Reverse Warrior. And then we go back into Warrior 2 as we straighten that front leg. You're going to reach forward as much as you can, keeping the arms parallel to the ground. Once you've gone as far as you can, then you can bring the left hand down onto the shin or a block. Other arm comes up, readjust the hips, trying to keep even length in the bottom and top ribs. Top arm nicely lined up with the back, and you're breathing. Don't drop the head. So the legs, pretty active. You're trying to lift up the insteps, engaging the quads a little bit. You're breathing. And then we're going to bend the knee. We come back into Warrior 2. And as we sweep that back hand over, getting into Revolved Trikonasana, I'm going to hop that back foot in a little closer, make it a little bit easier. And I'm going to bring my hand outside the foot as I bring the other arm up. Same time straightening the legs, and breathe. And we slowly come out. We get ourselves back into Warrior 2, Reverse Warrior, and then we flow into Plank, Chaturanga, Up Dog, Downward Facing Dog. We hang out in Down Dog. Breathe. We look forward, walk forward between the hands. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, folding forward. Knees bent. We're back in chair. And then we come into mountain. So let's do similar flow, but instead of Trikonasana, it's going to be half moon, Ardha Chandrasana, and Revolved half moon, Pravita Ardha Chandrasana. Block might be handy. Come to the front of the mat. Inhale into chair. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, we plant the hands. We walk into plank. Chaturanga. Keep the elbows in. Inhaling into Up Dog. Exhale, Down Dog. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, we sweep that foot through. We're in Warrior 1. We exhale into Warrior 2. Take your time. So just get the block handy. It's in front of you. About a foot away from that front foot, slightly to the outside of the foot. Just imagine the next pose. Sometimes it's good to imagine it before you go into it. Reverse Warrior. Now as you come out of Reverse Warrior, this gives you a little bit of momentum as you bring that right hand onto the block. The block can be full height or half height, whatever. And then we bring the other arm up. So we're trying to keep the arms in one line. Then you're trying to get that top foot, that whole top leg lined up with the hip and the shoulders. Top arm is lined up with the back. You want to think straight lines. And if you look at my lower arm, leg, ribs and the floor, I'm making a nice rectangle there, and you're breathing. You can bring the bottom hand to the heart, or if you want to go a little bit further, you take hold of that top foot, if you can find it, and you push that foot into the hand, opening up. Regular, half moon, warrior 2. Reverse warrior, and then the revolved version is we sweep that back hand, and you're going to still have the block in front, but you shift the block onto the inside of the foot a little bit, and then we open up, adding the twist. Ardha Chandra, revolved Ardha Chandrasana. We come out as best as we can, back into warrior 2, reverse warrior, and then we flow to the other side. Plank, chaturanga, up dog, down dog, hold down dog, breath or two. Stay in down dog. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale, we sweep that foot through. We're back in warrior 1. We exhale into warrior 2. We do a reverse warrior, and then we come into half moon. With or without the block, it's up to you. So if you've got the hand on the block, it's easier to get that top leg a little bit higher and get a little bit better form. You're pushing the heel of that top foot out, engaging the legs, you're breathing. If it's a challenge in the middle of the room, you can always be against a wall doing this one, and you can have your toes and the fingers of the top hand against the wall to help you keep the balance. Maybe take hold of that top foot, opening up, breathing. Extend the leg, extend the arm towards the sky, come back into warrior 2. Challenging pose. Remember to breathe all the time, try not to hold the breath. The revolved version, we do a reverse warrior, and then we sweep that back hand, and you're shifting the block more to the inside of the foot, but it's still in front of you. And then we open up again. And again, we're trying to get that rectangle between the arm, the leg, the ribs, and the floor. You're breathing. We come back down, warrior 2, reverse warrior, into plank, chaturanga, inhaling to up dog, exhale, downward facing dog, hold down dog a breath or two, and then into child's pose, and just relaxing child's pose. Let's do another easy back bend. Sit on the heels. Bring the hands behind you. Fingers lined up with the toes. Fingers pointing towards the front of the mat. Puff out the chest. Tuck the chin. Lift those hips up. Head goes back carefully and breathe. Sit bones go down, we slide the hands forward, and we're back into downward facing dog. We bring the right leg up, and we're going to sweep that foot through. We're in a low lunge, stretching out the quads. We take a block, we bring it inside the foot, and you bring your forearms onto the block, coming into lizard, or you can have the forearms to the ground, and then you can bring that back knee up. Some people maybe like to slide. I've got another block here if I can reach it. Some people like to have two blocks and they just slide another block underneath that back leg so you can rest on the block if you want. If the forearm's on the ground, it's a little bit of a deeper hip stretch. We come onto the hands. Maybe you just you're staying on the hands. We switch legs, starting off in a lunge on the other side. Maybe bring the arms up. And then into lizard, with or without the block. And if you want, you can slide the other block underneath that back leg. I'm just resting my upper thigh on that block. Deeper stretch, forearms to the ground. And then I'm going to remove that second block, come into plank, chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog, knees down, and we're back in child's pose. Come onto your back. Pull both knees in and just rock. Bring the outer of the left ankle onto the right leg. Keep the right foot on the ground and push that left leg away from you, opening the inside of the hip. Take hold about the back of the right leg, so that left hand is going through the window that you've made with the legs, threading that needle. Pull the legs in, activate the foot that's close to you, dorsiflexion. Tailbone towards the ground as you pull the legs in closer, and you're pushing the forearm into that left thigh, perhaps getting a little bit more of a hip stretch. Rock side to side. Become still. Can you get the legs in a little bit closer? And then we switch. Outer of the right ankle onto the left leg, left foot is on the ground, and we push that right leg away from us to begin with, getting a stretch on the inside of the hip. And then we take hold of the back of that left leg, we pull the legs in, flexing that right foot, tailbone lower if you can, forearm against the thigh, getting a good stretch on the outside of the hip this time. Both knees come in. We take hold of the feet into happy baby. Again, we're trying to get the tailbone as low as we can. We're keeping the head on the ground. And then we're going to see if we can get the legs a little bit straighter and into a V shape. The legs don't have to be totally straight. You're pulling the shoulders away from the ears, try and soften the shoulders. No tension there. You can hold on to the big toes if you want, palms facing each other. I find that doing that you can take the legs wider and maybe get them a little straighter. We keep hold of the big toes, but we bend the knees, and we're going to rock backwards and forwards, and you're going to try and balance on the sit bones without touching the ground with the feet. You bring the legs back up to a little bit more of a V, and then we're going to let go of the legs coming into boat. Try and get the knees pointing towards the ceiling. We lower, so the legs are off the ground, the head is off the ground. You're supporting the head with the hands. You're pushing the lower back into the ground as much as you can. Abs of steel for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We bring the legs slowly down. We take a full body stretch. We keep the right leg extended on the ground as we pull the left knee in, and we take a twist. So you're taking that left leg over to the right side as you extend the left arm, looking over the left shoulder. Both shoulders grounded. Palm of that left hand is up. Back of the hand down. You're pulling that left shoulder down, away from the head and in. And you want to really try and keep that shoulder on the ground, so there's no stress there. We hug the knees. We rock again. We keep the right knee pulled in, extend the left leg on the ground. And then we take the twist on the other side. Palm up, shoulder down and in, and breathe. We come out of the twist, a little bit of rocking, and then a full body stretch again. This time add a bit of a side stretch, stretching out one side of the body. And then we stretch out the other side. And then we even up. Recenter. Savasana. Arms either side of you, palms up, eyes closed. Totally relax. Keeping your attention on the breath. Stretch out the hands. Stretch out the feet. And just relax the hands and feet. And again, stretch out the hands and the feet. And relax. One more time. Stretching out the hands and the feet. Relax. Walk the feet in towards you. And just roll over to the side, eyes closed. Take about 3 breaths. And then gently push yourself into a seated position. Inhale as the arms come up. Exhale as they come down. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do a couple more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Keep the palms together, hands to the forehead. Namaste.